Amit, I really wanted to congratulate you again on doing this. And I'm really impressed by your data-informed approach to diabetes. Can I ask you sort of, as you were thinking about the various things that you can do, how did you choose to use a continuous glucose monitor? What were the sort of pluses and minuses of that? That's the first question. And I'll ask you my second question after that.
Sure. It's a very good question. So at least from where I stand, it's also a question of your personality, the way you are and the way you approach things. So I'm an engineer. So I love numbers and I love playing with numbers. I just basically keep analyzing things forever. And so what happened is in my case, so the most important thing was it gave me near instantaneous feedback as to how my body was reacting to different stimulus. And so and something I didn't cover. So for example, if I didn't sleep well one night, I saw my morning sugars are up the next morning. That was a warning for me, okay, watch out for and make sure that you sleep properly. If I had a late night session, that also caused some disruptions. So I just basically was able to figure out using this, just trying out things one by one, but most importantly, by just looking at the numbers, figuring out what worked, what didn't work. And for me, there was no downside. I love it.
That's great. And, we have a question here from Nandini Garud, who would ask how you paid for this, because again, insurances usually don't pay for continuous glucose monitoring if you don't have diabetes and if the diabetes is not out of control. So once you were starting to get controlled, did you pay for this yourself, or did you run it through your insurance program?
Yeah, a good question. So insurance tends to be somewhat unpredictable. So I've had time when I've paid it myself. I've had times when insurance has covered it. And it's almost like throw a dice and it'll tell you whether the insurance is going to pay or not pay. From my perspective, I'm okay paying for it. Turns out it doesn't cost that much if you shop around. So, but yeah, I've had both happen. Sometimes insurance pays and sometimes it doesn't pay.
Okay, great. Thank you. We also had another question from, let's see, hold on one second. We had a question about diagnosing insulin, or diabetes, which I'll discuss later. But Amit, one more question for you before we move on, and I think I'm going to ask this of all the panelists, which is, there's times when we want to either have a cheat day or when we sort of fall off of our planned progress. How do you sort of recenter yourself and then just get back on the schedule again? Like, what goes through your head? How do you overcome your own personal barriers?
So I think a few different things. So number one is at some level, I knew that it was not an option for me to just kind of lose. Mm-hmm. So I knew that this is something that I had to win, come whatever. So that's kind of the number one thing. And the number two thing is, at some level, the advice I got from a doctor was, look, you didn't develop it overnight. You didn't develop it because you basically had bad blood sugar for 1 day or 2 days. You developed it over multiple decades of really, really bad lifestyle choices. So even if you go off for a day or 2 days, it's not really going to cause major long-term damage. Don't worry about it. Let's get back on track.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amit.